need you to do something. This village is the true secret. Testament to the old sins. It feeds this hunter's nightmare. Please, bring to an end the horror. So our forefathers sinned. We hunters cannot bear their weight forever. It isn't fair. It just isn't fair.
I no longer dream, but I was once a hunter too. There's nothing more horrific than a hunt. In case you fail to realize, the things you hunt, they're not beasts. They're people. One day you will see.
I think it really does say something that after 11 years, we're still talking about this game, despite numerous other games having been released since then. It feels like Bloodborne is one of those games that just never leaves the gaming consciousness for multiple reasons. I think a lot of it does stem from the fact that a lot of fans we're waiting for that next gen update, that remaster for this game, for it to just run better natively on the PlayStation consoles. But you know, it's interesting, we're going into this 11th anniversary today, and this is the first year we actually have some clarity of what has actually been going on behind the scenes with From Software and Sony, and the fact that, well, really it's on From Software to give us whatever the next iteration of this IP looks like. And in my opinion, I would much rather live in that world where we're waiting on the original creators to do something with the IP, rather than it be what many fans had speculated was locked behind Sony's glass doors for whenever they decided to do something with it. But that's not what I'm going to really focus on in this video. I think I really want to focus more on just the impact of the game on myself and why it, I think, affects so many people. And I think there's a lot of different angles you can look at it. You can look at the, you know, just the straightforward, like, oh, the combat in the game and how well it plays, despite being locked at 30 FPS, in my opinion, is still one of the smoothest combat systems FromSoft has created. And it is the one that I look forward to the most when I'm like, okay, which one of these games do I want to sit down and play today? That is the one that puts the biggest smile on my face, to just experience the how that game feels to play. The other aspect of it, the narrative, the story, the lore, for me, it is the one that leaves the biggest impact on me. I really like Elden Ring lore. I love the story in Sekiro. Dark Souls lore is really interesting. But Bloodborne is the one that, like, leaves the biggest mark on me whenever I think about it. It's one of the reasons I still continue to think about it. The music for this game is something that is truly something. As someone who grew up listening to soundtracks from The Lord of the Rings, from Star Wars, from all of these big motion picture, you know, films and franchises, the Bloodborne soundtrack is one that I confidently will put up next to those other films, because of just how just stunning so many of the tracks are. Yeah, like any soundtrack, there's going to be a few that you're like, yeah, it's, you know, it's good, but it's not incredible. But when that soundtrack hits, it hits, and it is quite something. But yeah, this is, you know, look, this isn't going to be like a very, you know, heavily structured video. This isn't something I have a script for. I'm going in blind. I'm literally going to sit and yap about this for a little bit and talk about its personal impact on me and why it stuck with me since I played it originally back in December of 2024. Back then, I had just finished, or I was about to finish, Elden Ring. I was right at the end of it. And I was like, what Souls game do I want to play next? Because I absolutely adored Elden Ring, still do. and I was looking for that next, well, what is the next one I need to get into? And just honestly, purely out of the fact that I didn't want to spend any more money, I saw that Bloodborne was on PS Plus as part of the subscription. Like, well, it's there. Hit download. It's the worst that can happen. I boot it up. I start messing around with it for a little bit. And then I kind of like didn't play much past the opening in Yarnum, like after you get out of the clinic for about a week. I think I was a little bit confused. I didn't find the little like messengers in the Hunter's Dream to tell me like how to heal or how to use the bullets and some of the other like different mechanics in that game. But then I kind of came back to it. I think I started it before that I had finished Elden Ring. That's what it was. And then I finished Elden Ring, and then I actually went like deeper into Bloodborne. I think I probably looked up some guides, some videos that fully explain the mechanics of the game. And yeah, once it starts to click, like one of the things that really started to stand out to me, one, art direction, very different, very unique. One of the most unique looking pieces of media, in my opinion, out there that just has such a distinct tone and vibe and look to it that really not many, if anything else, has. Being set in a like kind of gothic setting, but it has its own like twist on top of it that you don't really see in a lot of other pieces of media. And just the way the outfits look, the clothing, the weapons are so unique that it's just like we're just coming up with stuff. Like, is this something you could take down a monster with? Sure, put that in there and make it do two different forms. And it's so incredibly creative. Every piece of that game, it feels so meticulously placed, from the lore to just locations, weapons, outfits. It is one of the few Souls games I actually get really deep into the reading the item descriptions, because this is one thing to go and watch lore videos, and that was a big thing that actually like made the story click for me, is the Vati Vidya video that he did of just like the overall story of Bloodborne. I was like, oh, this is actually incredible. This is one of, in my opinion, one of the best pieces of fiction that's ever been created. And again, I'm putting this up next to a Lord of the Rings by Tolkien, the Star Wars narrative from George, like, so, and the fact that it is one singular game. There's not a sequel, there's not a prequel, you have a DLC that adds on to it, but beyond that, there's nothing from FromSoft outside of the comics, but those are kind of like extra, it's like basically glorified fanfic, but beyond that, it is one singular game with such deep and fleshed out lore that is also vague enough that you can interpret so many different things out of it, which in my opinion, really the core theme of this game is the depths that humanity will go to ascend, become greater than themselves at any cost, and not in a good way, not in a like, oh, we're trying to better ourselves. It is we are striving for this out of greed to gain control, to become something more than what we should be, what we are made to be, what we truly are, and instead we're forcing this evolution on ourselves out of this desire for power, for knowledge, to transcend humanity at the cost of our humanity, at the cost of what makes us truly human. It's this whole thing that just goes through the entire game of losing our humanity to the monster, to the people who are turning into creatures, into monsters, into eldritch horrors, is this like symbolic thing that is really something that is almost metaphorical to how we can lose ourselves in various different vices, in greed, in all of these different things, striving for whatever it is we're looking for, whether it's security, whether it's power, whether it's comfort, losing who we are as a person to these things, and then looking at it as in a broader way, in a more, how many times throughout human history have we sacrificed ourselves for the greater good of advancement, of progress, but at what cost? At what human cost? And that's really, there's so many themes that then come from that through this game. But that, in my opinion, is really, and I think Miyazaki has even kind of touched on this when he's talked about, you know, some of the stuff he was trying to do with this game. But that is what everything else stems from. Nothing in this game would happen narratively if things had been left alone. If things had not been pushed to their absolute limit. Society would have kept going. The city would have still remained. But instead, we reach the end of this game. There is no Yharnam. There is no city. There is no one left but us, trapped in the hunter's dream for all of eternity. Or maybe we do escape it and we come back to the world, but there's no world left to come back to. Or we achieve the thing that everyone had been striving for this entire time, and we truly do achieve ascension to godhood, to become an eldritch god, but at the cost of our humanity. One of the and there's so much good writing in this game. There's so many just great lines, and that's one thing FromSoft does so well, is there's not a lot of dialogue in their games, but what is there is usually so impactful, and I think Bloodborne really does take it to another level. I could spend a whole video just talking about my favorite lines from the game, but at the beginning of the game, you're faced with Father Gascoigne, and he basically tells you, you know, the beasts, they're everywhere, they're all over the shop. Sooner or later, you'll be one of them, and that is foreshadowing the end of the game, where you do, if you choose, lose your humanity to become something else. And again, it's left up to interpretation. Will you be a benevolent, you know, loving, caring, cosmic god? Will you be a malevolent god? Will you cause chaos? Will you destroy the entire fabric of reality? That's the question that's left after that. It's not oh, this is a happy ending. This is, you know, this is a good ending. This is a bad ending, whatever. All of the endings are arguably bad, or just like not great, or very much left to interpretation. And I that's one of the other things I just absolutely love about this kind of storytelling, is how much is left up to interpretation. If someone tells you this is 100% what this game is, and I know I kind of already talked about a lot of the like core themes of the game, which I do think are essential to the game, but if someone takes something completely different out of the narrative of this game, I'm not going to tell them that they're wrong, because it is so much left up to your interpretation of so many different things that for me to tell you that you are right or wrong, I don't think that's my place. I really don't. And I think that's the beauty of something like this. So whenever I look down at my tattoo that I have here, you can see it right here on my wrist, the Hunter's Mark. This is the only tattoo as of this recording that I have right now. That is, those are the thoughts that went through my head before deciding this is the one I want to get. After years and years of being like, okay, what I want a tattoo, I want something. That's when I think of all of the themes of this game that click so well for me. That's what made me finally be like, okay, this is the one. This is the one I'm going for. Plus, it's a cool design, and it kind of looks like the brand of sacrifice from Berserk, which was obviously an inspiration on it, but it's a little bit different too. Yeah, it is such. I mean, I'm almost like stumbling over my words, but there's just so much here that I could spend, and people have spent hours and hours, essays on YouTube discussing the lore, the combat, the just general narrative, the everything about this game, because there's so much here. It truly is a masterpiece, despite a handful of mechanical issues that you could point to. Some people are like, oh, there's not a lot of good bosses. I would say that that's not necessarily true. I do think there are some actual terrible bosses in this game. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I think Rom and Mikolash are some of FromSoft's worst. They just are. Despite the lore, which is really cool, their actual execution wasn't great. I don't like the blood vial system. I would change a few, yeah. I already made a video about this too, like 5 things I would change in a hypothetical remaster of this game. But despite all of those, like, gripes, they are just minor gripes. that are this big in a sea of just incredible art, incredible narrative storytelling through environments, through things that you just look at and you understand, oh, something happened here. This may have happened a long time ago, but something terrible happened here, and I'm seeing the aftermath of it. And you start piecing these things together. Just absolutely incredible. The Old Hunters DLC then builds on top of that and adds this second layer of like truly how terrible some of the things the Hunters did, and how they are now being punished for all of eternity, begging you to end the nightmare so that their consciousness can be freed. The concept of Ludwig, who is the hunter, this great hunter who's now been trapped in the nightmare, being essentially forced into madness as a creature. The thing that he was basically tasked with defeating, these other creatures, these other monsters. He has now become one, and he's now been set to trample his compatriots for all of eternity. What a incredible, just horrifying concept that works so well that you look at it and you understand, I get it. I understand what's happening. And I have been sent as the hunter to end this and discover the secret of why this is happening to begin with. Yeah, 11 years, and we're still talking about it to this day. People still in comment sections asking FromSoft, asking Sony for anything from this game, because it does touch you on such a deep level with its storytelling, with its combat, with its art direction, with its music, that it's something that you just can't get out of your mind. You can't. Again, despite some of its handful of flaws, it just sticks with you. And it's something you continue to think about. It's been over a year and a half, almost, since I played and finished the game to begin with, and I'm still here. I never left. I never left the hunter's dream, and I'll still be here. Because I do genuinely believe that one day Hideaki Miyazaki will say, it's time to go back. It's time to either do a remaster, a sequel, something adjacent to this game. And we'll get that. And I'm perfectly happy knowing now, here 11 years later, that we have clarity on what that situation is between FromSoft and Sony. And I'm willing to wait until they give us whatever's next. So until next time, thank you so much, guys. And don't forget, a hunter must hunt.